Today I thought it'd be fun to cover napkin sizes, the different sizes, their uses, what they mean, and the actual dimensions of the napkin. I'm Nicole from Adorn the Table, and I thought this would be a really interesting topic because there's napkin sizes that used to be very common years ago that we don't tend to use as much now. So when you come across that napkin size, you kind of wonder what the intended purpose was for it. Or maybe you're really wanting to get into tablescapes and you want to understand what size napkin you should be using for the particular gathering that you are going to be hosting. Well, let's cover those different napkin sizes today. So talking about napkins and their different sizes, as I mentioned briefly, each napkin size has an intended purpose. And I'm going to start with the largest napkin size and then I'm going to work my way down. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a ruler and I'm going to put that down so it gives you a good reference, a visual as to the size of the napkins that I'm sharing with you. The first napkin being the largest, it's referred to as a formal dinner napkin because you're going to be sitting down at a formal dinner. One that's got multiple courses and you're going to be using the same napkin throughout the full meal. So the napkin I have is about 23 inches, if I'm remembering correctly. Actually that's about 23 inches. Formal dinner napkins are anywhere from 22 to 26 inches. So they are a big square napkin. I kind of think of it as the bigger the meal, the more real estate of fabric you need for your napkin. So, anyway, if you have a napkin that's 22 to 26 inches, that is a formal dinner napkin. Next size down as far as a napkin goes is what's called an informal dinner napkin. And that napkin is about an 18 to 20 inch napkin. And I tend to find this is probably the most common size napkin that you'll find when you're out at stores these days. It tends to be like what you're going to find at Pottery Barn, Home Goods, Target, wherever you're shopping. They tend to fall within about that 18 to 20 inch, a little bit more on the 18 inch range, but they are your informal dinner napkins. So this is what you'd really be using probably for your regular dinner meal at home, something that doesn't have a lot of courses to it. So here, as I'm showing you, is an informal dinner napkin. It's just about 20 inches square. Now, going down a size, since we started at our formal dinner and then we went to an informal dinner, the next one is your luncheon napkin. And your luncheon napkin is anywhere from about 14 to 16 inches square. And this one, I believe, is about 16 inches square. Yep. And again, this is considered your lunch napkin. Now, if you're going to go down a size smaller than that, it's your tea napkin. And that's usually about a 12-inch napkin. When I was going through all of my napkins, I thought it was funny. I didn't really have a perfect 12-inch napkin. So this one's really about 13 inches. But since it's smaller than that 14 to 16 lunch napkin, it does qualify for a tea napkin. And you think of that as if you're doing one of those teas that you want this smaller napkin to be because you're using it for smaller bites of food. It's a smaller meal. So when you're thinking about it, you're going smaller meal to larger meal, smaller napkin to larger napkin. And then the next size down of a napkin is called a cocktail napkin. And a cocktail napkin is about a 10-inch square napkin, or when you fold it, it becomes a 5-inch square. So this is really not a napkin you're going to have on your lap. This is the napkin that you're going to be walking around with because you've got this little plate of appetizers. It's cocktail hour. You're walking around, you're mingling, and you need something to be able to just take your fingertips and use. So it's also referred to then as a fingertip napkin, either a cocktail or a fingertip. So if you fold it, like I mentioned, it becomes about a 5-inch square napkin. There's just a rough fold. Or, if you might come across these. I really don't come across them very often, but there's also just It's a little square 5-inch square napkin that again is a cocktail napkin, but it's just this little square piece of fabric, and that's what its intended purpose is. So there you have it, your different size napkins and their intended purposes. So if you're hosting a gathering that you want to make sure that on your tablescape that you have the right size napkin for that type of meal, go ahead and look for those size napkins. Or maybe again, if you're out shopping at an antique store or an estate sale and you're coming across smaller size napkins, now you know what the intended purpose was for them. You know though, you can always throw the whole rule out the window and use whatever size works best for you. I really kind of think, it's just what you want to use for your own gathering, and there's nothing really that's wrong in doing it. It's your gathering. Well, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday here at the table. Bye.